Hi, my name is Hajir Obaidi. I'm 18 years old and I go to San Diego State University. So throughout my younger years, I would say until I was 8, I was really into drawing because I really liked expressing myself. But then I kind of got into reading more when I was in elementary school because my elementary school was really big into reading, and I would say I even have that hobby up until right now. And in terms of sports, I really like playing soccer. It's a very big sport back where I come from, and when the World Cup comes on, when any of the major competitions in soccer come up, it's I'm always viewing them. I'm always into the sport. So I would say drawing when I was a kid, reading, and playing soccer are mainly my biggest 3 hobbies and interests. Well, I would say my biggest one right now is basically just graduating high school because I would say throughout middle school and even elementary school, I struggled and I didn't even think, it was a far out thought that I didn't really think about that much. So I would say graduating high school, getting to college is my biggest accomplishment as of right now. Okay, so this is a very cliche answer, but I would say just being with my family and friends, that makes me the most happy because I feel those people always are there for me and inspire me throughout all of my life. So I would say just spending time with them, always having them there, that's what makes me happy the most. Okay, so success is different for everybody. Everybody views it differently, but I would say as long as you're happy and content with what is going on and what you did, that would be my definition of success, feeling contentment. Okay, so I would say both of my parents because they kind of always pushed me when I needed to be pushed, and they always were there for me whenever I needed help or whenever I needed advice. So I feel everybody would say their parents, but truly, honestly, I feel all the parents kind of just support their kids as much as possible. So yeah. I would say getting a bunch of hours of sleep. That would be my main source of getting prepared because I feel when I'm not getting as much sleep, I just don't perform at my best. So having a clear head, getting energy from sleep, I would say that would be my basically my way of preparing. Okay, so throughout elementary school, I would say basically belonging in a community, even though I felt I went to a school where a lot of people were from the same area as me, I still felt a challenge when I had to interact with all those students. Experiencing bullying, all of that, that was my main source of challenge. And then even in middle school, you're kind of getting into your teenage years, everybody's feeling differently, expressing themselves differently. That kind of made me struggle, especially since being a Muslim student and not having a bunch of people that were like me. I only had one other girl who was a Muslim in my middle school. Throughout high school, I felt that kind of went away because I kind of found my own community. Even people who weren't similar to me, I felt I could also express myself. So honestly, just getting the hang of interacting with students, getting to know them, that was a challenge that I had to overcome. Okay. Short-term goal, I would say basically just do well in college, get good grades, all of that. In hopes of becoming a teacher afterwards. Long-term goal is to basically, I would say, get to that point where I can be a teacher and get a degree in biology and all of that. That would be 4 or 5 years down the line. So I would view that as a long-term goal. I would say always basically look at people who are struggling just like you are, and remember that you're not the only one who is going through that same struggle. There's probably hundreds of people who are feeling just like you or even more miserable. So I would say also reach out to the adults in your life. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I know it's scary at first, and you don't really want to put yourself out there and be vulnerable because that feeling kind of is very uncomfortable for many of us. But I would say just feel comfortable in the uncomfortable situation. So throughout high school, I've basically done a lot of tutoring for younger kids. So I've done tutoring for like middle school, elementary school students. I used to be involved in something called the Mira Mesa Virtual Tutoring Program, where basically a bunch of parents who have kids in elementary school and middle school, they can reach out to us, the organization, and they can basically they can tell us what kind of high school tutor they want, and then we would pair them with a high school tutor. So that was like a really good experience. I felt like I kind of got to know what it was like to work with younger kids. And also throughout high school, throughout like basically sophomore, junior, senior year, I led what it's called the Muslim Student Association in my school. And even though it started as like a pretty small club, because we basically had like 6 seniors who graduated, I felt like that was, again, the community that I belonged in. So that was a pretty good experience for me. And then in terms of the science field and how I got to where I am right now, I took something called biotech in high school. So that kind of got me into like doing lab work, getting into like research and all of that. So I would say that's where like my interest in the science field started. So I would say I worked in like a internship throughout like the whole entire year in my junior year of high school. So that was like a pretty memorable experience because I worked as like a customer service representative in that internship experience, and that kind of got me into more like talking with people, interacting with them. So that was pretty cool. So I would say mainly doing tutoring, the Muslim Student Association, and then in terms of like what I'm doing right now in college, it started because I took many science classes in high school that got me interested in the science field.